We are going to discuss the things you should never, ever give up for anyone. These are the cornerstones of your identity, not merely nice-to-haves. Because at what point do you lose yourself if you are constantly giving, compromising, and bending? Let us get started and discover what you should cherish regardless of who enters your life. In addition, I recently released a brand new newsletter that is totally free. Enter your email address when you sign up, and I will bring you exclusive stuff, insightful articles, and helpful advice every week. It is the ideal method to remain motivated and involved. The description contains a link. Do not pass this up. 1. Respect for yourself. The foundation of your identity is your sense of self-respect, which you should protect with all your might. You are effectively giving up control of your life when you sacrifice your dignity in order to maintain harmony or appease someone else. People will begin to push boundaries and test your limits, gradually undermining your values until you find yourself questioning your identity. You may start to question your own value, put up with rudeness, and justify actions you would never have accepted in the past. And that is the risk of sacrificing even a small portion of your dignity. Seldom does it end there. At first, everything seemed normal in the relationship I was in. You are too sensitive. You are constantly overthinking. And maybe you are just not good enough for that position, were among the minor critiques that began to surface. And I ignored it since I did not want to fight. These were merely remarkable remarks, I reminded myself. But as time went on, I realized that I began to believe their remarks. I began to shrink as a result of letting them affect me, doubting every choice I made and every statement I made. I eventually noticed that I hardly recognized the person peering back at me in the mirror. It hit me hard because I had let someone else's opinion determine how I perceived myself. I had lost the self-assured, strong version of myself, and I had completely lost my sense of self-respect. It was one of the most difficult things I have ever done, but it was also a great moment when I began to regain my self-respect. It is awkward, even unpleasant, to stand up for yourself when you have been allowing others to take advantage of you. You will be accused of being tough, selfish, or even changing. However, most people are at ease with you as long as you do not cause them discomfort. This is the reality that nobody likes to speak out. You become a threat to their comfort zone at your expense the moment you start establishing boundaries, refusing to tolerate disrespect, and make it obvious that you will not compromise on what you believe to be right. Being self-respecting does not imply being cruel or unwilling to make concessions. It indicates that you are prepared to leave people, circumstances, and even occupations that demand that you sacrifice your morals. Indeed, prioritizing oneself in this way is problematic. Self-sacrifice is often romanticized by society, which exalts going above and beyond for the happiness of others. Let us face it, though, it is self-sabotage rather than selflessness if achieving the happiness of others means sacrificing oneself. Everything changed when I ultimately decided to prioritize my self-respect. I began to feel more powerful, centered, and in charge of my life. In retrospect, I realized that the relationships that had been dragging me down were the ones that ended. I created space for those who respected me by letting go of those who didn't. And I started to understand that having self-respect was more than simply a decision. It was a promise to myself to safeguard my own tranquility, self-assurance, and sense of value. The true, profound message is this: you should respect yourself enough to leave those who do not respect you. Stop using your understanding of their perspective as an excuse for rudeness or inappropriate behavior. Allowing someone to treat you like a doormat is a whole different matter than having compassion. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on integrity and self-control for a reason. You are allowing someone else to control you in ways they have no right to if you lose yourself in their expectations. Ultimately, the people who really matter will value the courage it takes to defend yourself and will respect the boundaries you establish. Those who don't, give them up. Regardless of what other people may think, you owe it to yourself to maintain that sense of self-respect. The terrible reality is that when self-respect is lost, confidence, dignity, and purpose all start to erode as well. Therefore, keep in mind that no friendship, career, or relationship is worth compromising the essence of who you are the next time you are asked to compromise on your self-respect. Remain firm and let those who are incapable of handling it to come to light. 2. Your aspirations. Dreams are more than just nice-to-have extras in your life. They give significance to everything you do and keep you waking up with a purpose. However, it is startling how frequently people will request, or even demand, that you set them aside. That is a great idea, but do not you think it is time to be realistic? Is one of the things they will say. Or, when are you going to grow up? But that dream is good for now. Dreams are only deemed acceptable if they are small and sensible enough to fit inside someone else's box. Let us face it, though. Dreams are supposed to shatter boxes, not fit them. I can still recall the first time I shared a big dream of mine with someone. They regarded me as though I had just informed them that I was organizing a journey to Mars. "Wow, it is ambitious," they exclaimed. The term ambitious, in particular, resonated with me. It was a courteous way of stating, "That is totally out of your league," but it was not encouraging. I nearly lost it and began to wonder if I was being unreasonable or if they were right. The problem is that those who advise you to give up your dreams are not the ones who will suffer the consequences of doing so. You will carry that remorse with you. Dreams are more than just objectives. They are fragments of who you are, your passions, and your ideal existence. It is like lowering your own light because it is too bright for other people when you give up your dream for their comfort or acceptance. And you run the risk of completely losing that spark if you do it for too long. Sometimes, others may tell you that following your goals is selfish, that it means you are neglecting your true obligations, or that you are not giving back. Here's an idea, though. What if pursuing your aspirations is the most responsible thing you can do? What if pursuing your passions encourages others to follow in your footsteps, or perhaps even produce something that actually transforms lives? Here's a little lighthearted honesty. Consider how many people have given up on their aspirations only to find themselves in their middle years, complaining about the good old days and wishing they had the guts to give it a shot. Naturally, they will tell you that they had a family, a steady job, and pragmatic considerations. All of those factors are legitimate, but they are not life sentences. You run the risk of leading a life that does not seem like it belongs to you if you cannot make your ambitions a reality. Look, unless sailing around the world is your ambition, I am not suggesting you have to give up everything. Then, of course, go to sea. Ask yourself why, though, if your dream is quietly simmering away on the back burner while life goes by. It had to wait. Who told you that? Who will put their dreams first if you won't? Dreams ultimately contribute to our sense of aliveness. You are not only pursuing some fantasy when you go after them, regardless of how insane they may appear. You are creating a life that reflects your true self. Maybe it is, for you. You should answer with a smile the next time someone remarks, "That is impractical." Continue to pursue your dreams. 3. Your time. Although time is something that can never be regained, we frequently waste it as though it were spare change. Everyone and everything wants a piece of your time. Let us face it. Work, family, friends, or that stranger who needs a favor just once. The fact is, though, that your time is valuable. It is gone once it is gone. Why, then, do we approach it as if it were a limitless resource? I used to be the type of person who would accept practically anything. Did someone require assistance moving? Yes, I do have a few hours. No one wants to work on an extra project at work. I am in. But eventually, I became aware of something. I felt like I was not doing anything that truly mattered to me, and I was mentally and physically spent. The individuals I was saying yes to were rarely there when I needed help, and my days were full with things that, to be honest, felt pointless. How many people truly show up when you need them? People frequently expect you to be there for them anytime they need something. It seems as though there is an unwritten rule that their time is sacrosanct, while yours is up for grabs. Do not get me wrong. I support giving to others and lending a hand when you can. Who is left in the dark when your own priorities are neglected, though, if you are always giving up your time to other people? It is you, you know. You will probably be the only one who regrets it. One of the nicest things I have learned is that time management skills make you clever, not selfish. When you say something like, "Hey, I would love to help, but I have got my own problems to focus on right now," someone who truly values you will respect your boundaries. Perhaps they do not respect you as much as you believed if they do not appreciate that. Time is for investing in oneself, not just for working or assisting others. It is for the peaceful times when you rejuvenate, for the interests that keep you enthused, and for the connections that truly support you. You are merely existing in other people's lives if you are continuously giving your time away. Additionally, you do not want to regret the times you missed because you were too preoccupied with pleasing everyone when you look back on your life. The most important thing is that you have time, and you should use it to become the person you want to be. Saying no, declining, and occasionally prioritizing your own needs are all acceptable, because nobody else will if you don't. Everything else will feel a little bit better if you safeguard your tranquility. 5. Your limits. Boundaries are statements of self-respect and sanity, not merely imperceptible lines. But how often do we overlook them in order to make others feel at ease? Giving up your boundaries may help to maintain harmony in the short term, but it erodes your sense of self over time, leaving you feeling abused, exhausted, and bitter. There is a purpose behind boundaries. Ignoring them is like giving away pieces of yourself until nothing remains because they guard what is important to you. I used to be the yes person, let me tell you. I would answer yes if someone asked for a favor, an additional project. Indeed. At midnight, does a friend require a trip across town? Yes, of course. Saying yes, in my opinion, demonstrated my dependability and compassion, and was a sign of loyalty. But as time went on, I began to see a trend. People started to expect more from me the more I provided, and eventually I could hardly remember where I ended and others started. I reached my breaking point one day. The burden of all I had taken on was heavy, but I had decided to do another favor. I was giving even though I had nothing left to give. It served as a reminder. I either respect my boundaries, or I continue to live my life at the mercy of other people. Although they may seem like limitations to some, boundaries are essentially freedom. Freedom from ongoing stress. Liberty to sleep. Freedom to focus your energies on the things that really count. The proper people will respect your limits if they truly value you. However, there will always be those who put them to the test. Those who believe they have a right to all of your parts. And such individuals will take more and more until you say enough, using every available inch. Establishing boundaries does not entail excluding others. It indicates that the correct individuals are entering. It is about making room for what really counts so that you may give it your all without becoming exhausted or bitter. They are typically the ones that gain the most from your lack of limits in the first place, even though they may accuse you of being selfish or claim that you have changed. They were the happy when you put yourself last, and you should not live up to their standard. Everybody has a distinct definition of boundaries. Perhaps it is opting to stop responding to business emails after hours. Saying no to a buddy who only contacts you when they need something could be the solution. Perhaps it is avoiding talks that deplete your energy or removing yourself from connections that make you feel inferior. However you define your boundaries, they are rightfully there. They are deserving of recognition. People will put you to the test. They will push, guilt trip, and pretend that your boundaries are merely something they need to get beyond. However, the reality is that you are not respected by those who disregard your boundaries. They appreciate what you do for them, the ease you offer, and the boundless well of yes that you stand for. Respecting someone's boundaries, even if it does not help you, is what true respect is all about. It is realizing that in order to succeed, every commitment, work, and relationship needs sound boundaries. I have discovered over time that the best relationships I have are with those who respect my limits, do not think I am always on, and do not take every no personally. They are aware of my time and energy constraints, and that is acceptable. They do not depend on me to make them happy, and they do not require continual access to me to feel appreciated. When you begin to establish limits, you will find that those that appreciate you, the authentic you, will do the same. Boundaries are difficult to set. It calls for bravery, integrity, and the capacity to occasionally let people down. The problem is that you are not here to please everyone. You are here to be yourself and to live a life that honors your needs, goals, and overall health. Those that truly care about you will be sympathetic and will recognize that. The ones that don't, give them up. No one else will defend your boundaries for you, so do it with ferocity. Saying no, taking up space, and protecting your time and energy are all rights. Making room for the important things is more important than erecting walls. Furthermore, by respecting your limits, you are building a life in which you can genuinely flourish rather than only defending yourself. 6. Your financial autonomy. Freedom, self-respect, and the capacity to live life as you see fit are all components of financial independence. It is about understanding that you are not constrained by the laws of others or reliant on their generosity. Nevertheless, much too frequently, people forfeit their financial autonomy without even recognizing it, whether it is continuing to work at a job that undervalues and underpays them, depending on a partner, or being unduly dependent on family. Giving up financial independence might restrict your freedom of choice and keep you in a circle of dependency. I have a personal story to tell. In the beginning, I believed that as long as I was comfortable, it did not matter if I had total control over my finances. I thought I did not need to worry too much as long as I had relatives or a spouse to support me. But as time went on, I became aware of the minor ways in which my lack of independence constrained me. I suddenly needed someone else's permission to make decisions that I should have been making for myself. Even though I had enough to cover my expenses, I was reluctant to pursue my desires because I did not feel completely in control. The fact that I did not have total autonomy was also, to be honest, a little embarrassing. Being financially independent has nothing to do with being self-centered or unwilling to depend on others. It has to do with freedom. It is the autonomy to make decisions that are consistent with your aspirations, values, and ambitions without seeking approval from others. You are less likely to make concessions on matters that are important to you when you have financial control. Feeling stuck financially makes you less inclined to stay in unhealthy relationships or make morally dubious concessions. People frequently give up their financial freedom in partnerships because they believe that combining all of their resources and becoming totally dependent on one another is a show of trust. Furthermore, losing your financial independence is a separate matter entirely, even if sharing money can be a positive aspect of a successful partnership. It can easily result in a power imbalance when important decisions, such as where to live and what to prioritize, are determined by one person's financial dominance. Even if someone has the greatest of intentions, you are giving up your independence when you depend on them for financial support. And consider how many people continue to work at occupations they detest and careers that do not fulfill them out of fear of losing their financial security. They might have aspirations of changing careers, launching a company, or taking a hiatus to focus on something worthwhile, but they are constrained by their fear of losing their jobs. This explains the need of financial freedom. It enables you to leave circumstances that do not benefit you without feeling as though you are taking a huge risk. Becoming financially independent does not need having a lot of money. It indicates that you are in charge. It involves setting up a budget, saving money, and making deliberate decisions that support your objectives. It is about laying the groundwork so that you have the resources to support yourself in the event that something goes wrong, be it in a relationship, your career, or anything else. Without the constant fear of financial instability, you may concentrate on the things that are most important to you. One of the most important things I have learned is that people find it harder to control or manipulate you when you are financially independent. You have the ability to establish limits, to refuse requests when they do not seem right, and to follow the course that brings you the most fulfillment. Simply because you have financial ties to someone does not mean you have to put up with poisonous relationships or remain in precarious situations. Of course, it takes time and self-control to become financially independent. It entails developing sound money management skills, refusing pointless spending, and making stable investments in oneself. However, you gain a little more freedom and autonomy with each step you take to achieve that goal. In the end, it is worth every sacrifice because it gives you the ability to choose your own life. Never allow someone to persuade you that sacrificing your financial independence is worth it in exchange for comfort, affection, or loyalty. The truth is that you frequently give up more than just money when you give up your financial independence. You are giving up your autonomy, your capacity for decision-making, and your sense of independence. Being financially independent means having enough self-respect to be able to support yourself no matter what. 7. Your enthusiasm. The inner fire that illuminates you is your passion. That special thing that makes you feel alive, where you forget yourself. However, in a society that frequently places a higher value on expectations and pragmatism, people tend to dismiss their passions as immature fantasies or not worth the work. And to be honest, this is among the most heartbreaking sacrifices we can make. The problem is this: fuel is passion. You are driven by your energy. The thrill that drives you to learn new things, stay up late, and push yourself past your comfort zone. Without it, life is reduced to a machine consisting of duties and responsibilities that, to be honest, seem pointless. However, how often do we hear statements like, "I just do not have time for it anymore," or, "Well, I used to be into it, but then life got in the way." That is the silent giving up of a piece of ourselves, and it is very difficult to get back once it is gone. Writing stories was a childhood interest of mine that consumed me entirely. I would spend hours writing, conjuring up fictional worlds, characters, and storylines. However, then I progressively convinced myself that I did not have time for the obligations and expectations of the real world, which include what a decent career should entail. Yes, writing was enjoyable, but it was not significant. I persuaded myself that I could live without it and turned my attention to more useful. But eventually, I started to feel as though something important was missing. I attempted to fill it with other pastimes, but nothing could compare to the excitement that writing provided. After a while, I understood that letting go of my passion meant denying a core aspect of who I am, not just a pastime. I so set aside time to write once more, even if it was only for a few hours each week, and I was amazed at the impact it had on my life. Even in my pragmatic endeavors, that tiny spark, that sense of belonging to something I truly liked, permeated every other aspect of my life and gave me fresh vigor and excitement. Passion is not something additional or frivolous, which is something that many of us forget. It is necessary. You lose the very thing that gives life its vibrancy when you give up on your passion. And there is always, must be, space for passion, regardless of how many duties we feel obligated to or how many responsibilities we have. Without it, we are not really living. We are just existing. This is where things start to get serious. Some may argue that passion is merely a hobby or that it does not pay the bills. Instead, concentrate on what matters. However, the reality is that your enthusiasm is important. More than anything, perhaps, it is what keeps you alive, curious, and strong. It is a mistake that will come back to haunt you if you give up on it for the sake of practicality or to please other people. Because ultimately, the delight and contentment that come from pursuing your passions will outweigh any career, financial gain, or pragmatic endeavor. Moreover, passion is infectious. People notice when you follow your passions. You develop into a more lively, captivating individual, someone who is captivating and motivating. People are drawn to people who are full of life by nature. You encourage others to delve deeply, to recall their own passions, to leave the mundane routine and pursue their true passions. And when someone embraces what makes them feel alive, it can have a significant impact on the world. It takes bravery, of course, to follow your passion, particularly when you feel that you ought to be doing something more traditional. It is not always simple. Perhaps there are even those in your immediate vicinity who laugh at your hobbies and write off your enthusiasm as a waste of time. The harsh reality is that those individuals are not living your life. The emptiness you feel when you deprive yourself of something that is really important is not experienced by others. You alone are aware of what makes life meaningful, what brings you joy, and what gives you purpose. And you are the only one who can decide whether to keep that. Sometimes it entails turning down commitments that drain you, removing yourself from insensitive individuals, or forgoing immediate comfort in favor of lasting happiness. However, you will experience a profound sense of fulfillment that no outside validation can match if you are prepared to safeguard your passion and allow it to flourish in spite of the commotion. It is worth every bit of work to maintain passion, since it is a lifelong companion. Therefore, resist the urge to believe that passion is optional. Avoid making the mistake of thinking you will return to it at a later time. Begin right away, even if it is only for a few minutes a day and in tiny doses. Whatever it is, it needs a place in your life, be it storytelling, music, art, athletics, or something else entirely. Because life is important more because of passion than anything else, and you should never compromise on that. Those are the things you should never give up for anyone. These are the things that help us stay rooted in our identity, define us, and give our lives purpose. In a society that is always pressuring us to make concessions and conform to the expectations of others, it is simple to lose sight of them. But keep in mind that your interests, boundaries, aspirations, and sense of self-worth are all non-negotiable. They serve as your cornerstone, your source of energy, and the fundamental reason life is worthwhile. Therefore, aggressively defend these aspects of yourself as you move forward. Remain true to yourself, respect your priorities, and resist the need to compromise on what is most essential. Life is too brief to follow the rules set by others. Make decisions that are consistent with the person you wish to become, own your values, and give priority to what motivates you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch and be with me. Please remember to like, subscribe, and perhaps even forward this message to someone who might benefit from it if it spoke to you. And never forget that you are worthy of leading an authentic life. Keep it in mind. It is among the most potent actions you can take. In conclusion, remember that your self-respect, boundaries, passion, and dreams are not just things you should protect. They are the foundation of your happiness and fulfillment. Never sacrifice what makes you feel alive, whole, and true to yourself. Life is too precious to live for anyone else but you. If this message resonated with you, make sure to hit that like button to let us know, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content that will help you live your best life. Share this video with someone who might need a reminder of their own worth, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and remember, you're worth protecting. See you in the next one.